that all appears good. I'm going to remove the whole hood assembly now and see if I can dismantle that and straighten it out. Certainly there was no problem with focus from one side of the screen to the other. The infinity focus on the screen may be slightly out and might need to be adjusted. I've got to check my focus at the film plane too, of course, but it doesn't appear to be. I'm not expecting any great problems there. Just lift off. Yes. My viewing mirror is very, very dusty. In an ideal world, you'd want to replace that with a shiny new one, but in practice it doesn't make a hell of a lot of difference as long as the silver is mostly present. What have we got here? Well, this little felt baffle here appears to be running askew. Well, it's been like that from the day it was put in the camera. I'll glue that in straight. I'll just brush some of this dust out of here. That's a front silvered mirror. Don't touch it with anything except in dire need, and because it'll only bring you grief. Pop that to one side. Look at the viewing hood. I'm looking to see how the pivot pins are connected. Yeah, the hood is certainly pushed out of shape. And I'll see if I can deal with that in situ. I don't really want to take it apart if I don't have to. I'm trying to see which surfaces are rubbing on each other and making all that awful noise. There's a bit of dust on here too. There may be even some grit causing things to run a bit rough. Okay, yeah, it looks like I can get to this frame okay, and I'll see if I can pull that up. That's certainly pushed in at that point. Alright, I can see what I need to achieve. It's just whether I can achieve it. I've got to sort of push down at this point to drive that part down. I'll see what I can achieve and I'll report back. Well, I'll put that little velvet strip back on the front of the camera now. That had been on there skewer since whenever the camera was made, which I presume was sometime back in the 50s. I'll have a look in a minute and find out when the Rolleicord VB was actually made. Let's just put this piece in position and we'll put it somewhere in the centre of where it was before, except nice and level. That should be fine. Anything else I need to get out of there? No, I think that's it. I'll put the hood back in position. I was able to straighten it up to my satisfaction without any major drama. Right, well that part's looking quite good. Focus correct, everything working. Let's start putting some of this back together. It looks like that fits there. Start checking some of these mystery screws. This go on first, or does this one go on first? This one. Right. No, those settings seem fine. Clean this up a bit. And this dust I'm seeing on there of dried adhesive. Let's check the action of that again. Seems okay. Can we get it on the camera? Let's set that to B. Set the aperture to fully open. This is our flash sync self timer setting. It's got a couple with this. Set this to B and F3.5. See if we can get this to fit. getting. And that says an 8 and it looks like an 8. The aperture says f8 and we are getting, oh yeah, I'm willing to be convinced. We'll try the self-timer. It appears to be working. Let's pop 4 screws in, 2 them up. Got 8 screws here and they all will appear to be identical. Alright, let's do those up. This piece on. What's the secret? Okay. Might have to take the flash lever off to get that in place. Let's have another go. Looking promising. That's it. While I was investigating that rattle, I discovered a spring had come off inside the hood mechanism and there was a stray washer. And the stray washer almost certainly had come from that coupling for the parallax correction. And I replaced that screw with one I like the look of better. While I was there, there's a stepping, what's going on? B's not working. Right, investigate, investigate. No, the B lever's not lifting off properly. Back shortly. Well, I've had a fairly entertaining time with this camera, getting everything to work correctly. The big problem, what was causing the shutter release to jam, was this lever right here. Now this lever is operated by the cable release socket being here. That lever was bent well out of shape. It was sticking right out, and as a result it was fouling the inside of the cover, and that was stopping the lever from returning to the rest position. So that's what the cause of that particular problem was. And apart from that, everything else seems to be going quite smoothly. So I've got to get my covers back on now, and this is a bit of an act getting these in place because they don't really want to go peacefully. That's the long and the short of it. Where are we with this? That's at the top. Just looking at the position of my levers. That swings from the bottom to the top. Okay, let's try it there. That's at the top. That's at F, at B, and at F3.5. This is set at B and F3.5. See if I can get this to sit in place. The minimal amount of fighting. That sounds good to me. And I want to get the other piece in place too. Now this is a bit of a bugger to feed in over the top of this, but we shall see what we can do. I wonder if I can lay that on at the same time. Would that work? It's getting it hooked over here is the problem. I don't want to take that flash thing off because I'll tell you right now, getting that back in place is an act. It looks like I might have to. Oh, hang on. Something's opening up here, an opportunity, I think. No, it's like I'm going to have to take that lever off. I hate taking that lever off. That lever's a bugger. I'll just unscrew that cover. It's got a couple of notches in it to engage a tool, and as it happens a pair of tweezers is a wonderful tool to engage that, and I'll get that lever off. Comes off easy, it's a fight getting it back on. Right, can I get this all in place? That's in position, that's in position. I'm pretty sure that's in position. Can I get this over? I can. Okay. That's all working nicely. Let's put some screws in there. There's a total of 8 screws here. 4 on this outer cover and 4 on the inner cover. They're all identical. They're all brass. All fairly coarse threads for what they are. That self-timer that in the shutter, that the lever had come off and I put the lever back. Well, that lasted about 5 minutes before the lever decided to come loose again. And I've been back in, taken the self-timer out, looked closely at it, and was able to put the lever back in place once more. But the spring that holds that lever in position, basically it's distorted. It's not holding downward pressure on it, on that pin. It's not keeping that pin firmly in position that holds the lever in place. And as a result, there's always a danger that lever will pull out again at some stage in the future. I wasn't doing anything particularly dramatic with it either. It just went. Right, so the shutter release button goes on here. It screws in to that lever. And there's actually a little locking collar that goes on the back of it. And the locking collar is threaded, of course, but it doesn't even have flats on it to grip it by. I've got to try and turn the knob to get that to screw on. So this is it. Slightly awkward work, bordering on bloody impossible. It started. Okay, good. So the knob screws into the lever. I'll do that up tight. And I don't want to strip it out. That's it. There was just a little rough spot in the thread there, so it felt like it was up to the end, but it wasn't. And the collar, I'm trying to pick up the slots in the collar and just rotate them into position. Tighten that up with the tip of a pair of tweezers if I can. That should do it. That's good. So this flash lever, this is a lock that Rollie had on their cameras, and the idea is that the little spring clips in there, those pins, would lock into the flash cable and stop it from accidentally pulling out. But these things are a real bastard to get into position. They've got to go through slots in the mount, one either side, and oh, look at that. Well, the swearing must have helped, because normally it doesn't go as smoothly as that. I can only think that the camera had realised it was in dire danger of being flung across the room if it didn't cooperate. That was very good. Usually have to fight with that thing. The little springs, wires down there, they as you hold this lever out, that pulls them apart. You could put your plug in, and as you let it go, those wires drop into like a groove in the plug to stop it from pulling out. It's let's see where we go here. That's all good. Yes, that's all good. Okay. Now the focus and so forth, I've already tested that. That was all good. And now I just need to put back my leather. If I can find it. I've got one of the pieces. And one of them is hidden away. It's probably stuck on the back of a piece of paper somewhere. I'll find the other piece, we'll put them on together. It was there all along, as things normally are. Right, so some adhesive. Since it's a small piece of leather, I'm going to put my adhesive onto the paper and then transfer it with a toothpick to the leather. Now the leather, this leather strip is mostly fairly straightforward to put in, except for one point which I will demonstrate in a second. All I'm going to do is get a nice even coat of adhesive over there, not too much. If I can get the thing to let go of me. Here we go. This is the complication. This lever. The lever has to come up through this hole. So you have to feed the leather on like this, right over that lever, tuck it round behind the lever so it goes underneath the lever. At the bottom of the camera here, I've just got to get this all tucked in underneath the shutter release. And if you can do this without getting glue over every available surface, you've done extremely well. So I'm just going to take a cotton bud with some naphtha on it, and I'm wiping around all the edges there to make sure I don't have stray traces of glue left over, and making sure that that leather is stuck firmly down. That looks pretty good. And its mate, well, let's get its mate in, I suppose. Exactly the same problem on this side. Now the leather is actually broken at this point, so I've got to be careful not to actually tear it in half. Just keeping a close eye on the time, because I've got a pork roast I want to get in the oven this afternoon. Here's my piece of leather. Right. I've got to get that lever up through this hole. Get that leather firmly seated down in position. And it's not sitting square there, and I can tell because my little number plate there is partly obscured. And the V I can see neatly, and here where it says X, that leather's damaged there and it's not sitting down flush. That's better. Just press that leather down firmly so that it's seated correctly all the way down. I wipe over with some naphtha, particularly around the edges. And around those levers. That leather there is just a bit torn up. That surface of the leather there is slightly damaged. I'll just put a touch of adhesive there and stick that down. If it doesn't want to stay, a touch of black ink on that spot will make it disappear. But we'll see if we can get this to behave. That's better. It's sitting flat, and though it's lost its black shine at that point, a touch of black pen on there will fix that. And that's the leather back in place. And I believe that that is probably the whole job. I did some work on these Zeiss bumps. I peeled the leather up, cleaned them out underneath them and stuck back down. The hood moves smoothly now. There was a problem with that. There are two springs in there that work that action. One of them was slightly bent and it wasn't moving smoothly over this post that it has to roll against. Well, I think that my Rolleicord is all good now. And this one, well, I don't need it. I've already got a Rolleicord VB and I only got this one for the lols. So it can go to a new owner now, I think. It's in quite good order too. Right, that's a Rolleicord, and that was dealing with a shutter problem. This little lever here, this is your double exposure prevention lever. In this position you can double expose. Fire as often as you like. In this position you've got to wind on to the next frame before you can cock the shutter and fire it. So this is the normal position here. That little red button there, that red mark, that's to remind you that you've got it set on the double exposure prevention settings, which is, I mean, double exposure is a handy thing to be able to do when you want to. You don't want it surprising you. Right, that's my Rolleicord VB, and it's a very nice camera. Thanks for watching.